Welcome to the podcast. This is the Mastering Social Media for Schools podcast, and you are in luck. We have a very special interview today with two gals from Texas that love helping schools implement some marketing strategies and beyond. But today we're really going to talk about lead magnets. So I have Veronica V. Sopher and Lisa Losasso Jackson. And I think I said that right. You're going to hear it in the interview and make sure that I got that right. But very intelligent women. And you know what I love most about this episode? They break it down into it's so easy to understand. Okay. Sometimes we think of marketing, we think of lead magnets, and our head starts to spin, and we're like, nope, I don't have the bandwidth for this. I promise you, this episode is not like that. We are going to break down, what you first need to think about when you create a lead magnet. We're going to jump into how easy it can be, and they're going to share so many examples of what you could create. And you can bet your bottom dollar that you can use AI to help you out. We're also going to talk about the importance of value in what you create, and then also landing pages. And you guys, if you're a listener here, you know that you love it when there's some takeaways and free downloads and resources that can help you implement what we're talking about. You're in luck because you are going to get that today. So make sure if you're on the road that you mark this episode and that you come back and you get the show notes, because they're really going to walk you through how to make this happen with examples and all of that stuff. I am so excited. And I love this podcast. Like, this is my favorite thing. We're nearing 300 episodes. I've been doing this weekly since 2020. Yep, it was my COVID project. And I want to reach even more people because I believe that there's amazing people to learn from, that I continue to learn from. And I'd love for you to share this. Now, one way that you can help is share this episode with a friend that does school communication, school marketing. If they don't have a school communicator, share it with the superintendent, share it with the principal. Okay. So share this episode with others. If you're in a organization, share this episode with them. And also, if you've never left a review for this podcast, please leave a review. Your reviews help showcase that, hey, this is valuable. Like, you should take a listen. And I'd love to get your review. Now, before we jump into this super valuable podcast episode, we're going to get to this week's K-12 PR tip. All right, today's K-12 PR tip, which I feel like I don't even need to give a single tip because you're going to get so many tips in today's episode. But this time of year, we're just going to turn the calendar to August of 2025. If you're listening to this as it comes out, now is the perfect time to think about batching. When we think about batching, we might think about like meal prep, right? Where you're, once a week, you're kind of scheduling out your meals for the week. Well, in the same way, we can do social media posting. And what I'm talking about with batching is actually looking out the next several months. You guys know how crazy it gets once school starts, and even into September and early October. Gosh, it just goes by in a blur. Sometimes we're in constant reaction mode. Being able to schedule out some of the things that you want to post on social media on a weekly or a basis of, this event is coming up, and so we want to make sure that we hit it. We can actually schedule those things out right now. Some of the things that I always do for New Auburn are Throwback Thursdays, right? Pictures of old yearbooks. I'll also schedule out some of the staff features, some of our new welcome staff features. Instead of scheduling those out as you get them, get a bunch ready and then schedule them all at once so that you can kind of set it and forget it. Meta, which is where we schedule most of our posts through here at Social School for EDU. We can schedule for both Facebook and Instagram up to 29 days in advance. And to do even beyond that, you probably need a scheduling tool. There are a lot out there. Our tool of choice is Class Intercom, where we can actually schedule things out for the whole dang school year. And so if you really love that, you should definitely check out that tool. But I love some of those things because I don't have to constantly be worried about stopping everything and getting those things posted because I already have them scheduled. So it's really a lot of peace of mind. So I just want to recommend, if you have never batched before, consider it. And now is the perfect time to really be able to, turn off the distractions, shut that office door, or maybe you're even doing a little bit of work from home over the summer months and you can get some of these things scheduled. It will definitely make your school year go a little bit better. And you'll have great engaging content on your social channels. So that's my tip for this week. Now let's get in to this really exciting and insightful podcast episode with Lisa and Veronica. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. We've been having a lot of people from Texas lately. Veronica, Lisa, like Texas is rocking it with school PR professionals. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yes.
I love it. Well, I am very excited. I am joined today with by with two Veronica V. Sopher and Lisa Losasso Jackson. Did I get that right, Lisa?
You did. That was perfect.
Okay, I practice before you guys. I practice always before I hit record. But then I swear I have that short-term memory where I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm going to say it right. But I did good. So I'd like to start out by introducing Veronica. You've been on the show before,
I
so
have.
they can go back and listen to that. But why don't you each, share your background and then kind of what you're doing now to help schools across Texas and beyond. So Veronica, do you want to go first?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I'm so thrilled to be back on the show. Love the podcast. I learn so much every time I'm listening to the show. So your guests are amazing. One. Two, that's part of being that lifelong learner, right? So been in this space for a little over 20 years. I was chief communications officer for three large school districts in Texas. My smallest district had about 40,000 students, and my largest district had about 80,000 students. And I have been on my own now consulting with school districts all over the country for about 2.5 years. And so I've got districts that have like 200 students, and I have districts that have 85,000, 95,000 students. Passionate about the work that we're doing. And so when Lisa and I had the opportunity to connect and bring some of our learnings together, it was explosive. And here we are.
Yeah. So you're serving some small schools to large schools. What kind of work exactly do you do, Veronica?
Yeah, so everything from crisis communication, strategy, marketing, brand alignment. I'm also helping to fill in gaps whenever there's a leadership change. And sometimes superintendents just need a thought partner who's been in the seat. So oftentimes I'm supporting the comms department, but I'm also supporting the superintendent, especially if they don't have a communications department. So that's the capacity in which I'm working. But marketing has always been a huge part of the work that we do. And I love the opportunity to pop in, help, teach, train, and then move on to the next district because it's all about the kids.
Yeah, it's all about the kids and people need help out there. So awesome. Well, welcome back to the show. Lisa, how about you? What's your background and kind of how you're working with schools?
Sure. So thank you, first of all, Andrea, for my being on this podcast, and of course, joining my friend Veronica. This is so exciting. Of course, you and I have circled each other so many years at the SPRA conferences. And so it's so fun. We're finally together, all three of us at the same time, which is really exciting. I have been in marketing for what seems like for forever. But school districts, specifically in school marketing, I've done almost 20 years. And I've currently the executive director of We Go Public, which promotes all the great things happening in public schools in Texas. We actually formed a partnership with TSPRA, Texas School Public Relations Association, this last year, and powered their campaign, Celebrate Texas Public Schools. So we reached already 3.5 million people just doing a coordinated social media campaign. Very, very powerful, speaking with one voice. I also developed the School District Marketing Academy. So I train districts on how to market themselves. And I've worked with very small rural districts all the way up to the big ones, helped with website redesign, basic marketing. And then finally, the exciting thing that Veronica and I are doing is we teamed up and we have what's called the Elevate Marketing System. And it has like these amazing plug and play. You just drop your stuff in there and boom, you have what you need. So you'll get some taste of that in the freebies that we have for y'all for listening.
Yeah, you guys are going to want to check out the show notes because Veronica and Lisa, with a combined 40 plus years of experience in this space, they know how to help you and what you love. And it's templates, it's guides, it's all of those things. So that Elevate marketing system sounds amazing. As you guys could probably hear if you have listened to this podcast for very long, you know that Veronica, Lisa, and I could probably talk a couple days and not run out of things to talk about. But today we're going to focus on a really niche kind of thing, niche topic. Now, normally we talk about social media and we'll weave social media for schools into this, but I want to dive deep into something called lead magnets. So, to start out with, when we talk about schools, what is a lead magnet and why do schools need them? Who wants to take that question first?
I'm
Oh,
happy. I'm happy to at least start it because
Okay.
I was a late comer to the conversation, and Lisa was one of the pioneers. So let me probably give a perspective of what our current listeners might be thinking, and then I'll turn it over to her. But essentially, as school communications had to shift into marketing, we had to start understanding what some of the psychology was behind it before we could really start understanding some of the tactics behind it. Schools of choice, states that have vouchers, there's lots of competition out there. We had to become really good salespeople. And for those of us who were trained from a journalism perspective on the journalism side of the house, we were trained to write with neutral a writing style, or if it was a little persuasive, it wasn't salesy, right? So the whole idea of a lead magnet, and I'll let Lisa share that part, was new to us and a little overwhelming. But once I started learning about it, started implementing it in the districts I was working with, it completely shifted people's decision making. And that's what a good lead magnet is. So she can talk to you about what technically it is and how it works. But at the beginning, it's a shift in mindset from sharing information to sales.
Yeah. Awesome. Lisa.
that's so great. What a great intro, Veronica. So yes, I'm going to start with a lead magnet that has nothing to do with school districts or school marketing. And maybe you might have signed up for one of these. Let's say you're on Insta and you're scrolling and you see a great fun little ad or a little story about the top 10 workout, 5-minute workout regimens that you can do quickly. Just download here. That is a lead magnet. That's it. This company gave you something valuable that appealed to you, but in order for you to get it, so that's the lead, the magnet pulling you in, you then have to sign up and then they get your email and then you download it and you have this terrific guide. That's a lead magnet. So when we translate that to schools, what if it was something like top 10 tips for parents for pre-K registration? And you have a quick top 10 guide and you offer that to your families. They give you their email and they download it. Now you're engaging with your community and you're providing something valuable.
And why is it so important for schools to get those? Because I mean, we think traditional marketing when we think back to it, and it's like billboards or a newspaper ad. So many things have changed, and you guys, we're in like middle of 2025 now, right? Like we got to get with the program with some of this. It's really powerful to get those emails, right? I mean, so tell me a little bit about that, Lisa, of why that's so important, why you want that email address.
So it's so important to have that email address because that is your warm contact. That's someone who says, oh my gosh, thank you so much for that. This is really helpful for me. I'm wondering what else you have. And so you're able to continually serve them. You're able to continually give them information, that warm lead. I guarantee that over time, a percentage of those warm leads are going to convert, meaning they are going to register their child for pre-K, or it might be a teacher lead magnet. You're recruiting teachers and you have top 5 ways to interview for a teacher job, right? And you'll have a percentage of those who will then apply for the job. So you really are looking at from a marketing perspective to sum this up nicely. From a marketing perspective, a billboard is kind of shouting out your message, right? But a lead magnet is providing value.
Mm-hmm.
You're providing value.
Yeah. Okay. And Veronica, what I heard from Lisa was it wasn't like the top 10 reasons you should send your kid to our school.
Right.
You were providing more like in general informational tips about, 10 tips for registering for pre-K or for teaching or for applying. So, Veronica, can you talk to a little bit about, what types of things you should use for that lead magnet?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's think about recruiting, right? High quality staff. Excuse me. Is there a top 5 things that new teachers need to know? Are there some resources that new teachers need to know that you're willing to give away to any new teacher? Not one that necessarily is applying for your district, but just in general, new to the profession, the top 10 things that master teachers wish they knew their first year teaching. You put it out there, you connect with people who are interested in that topic, and then you have an opportunity to follow up with them. Another great lead magnet I like to use too is for some of our CTE programs, sharing tips, checklists, even questions that you can offer parents that say, these are the 5 most important questions you need to talk to your students about when it comes to career planning. Download here for our free conversation starter. Parent downloads it, they engage with their student. All of a sudden, you have their contact information, and you know that this parent is interested in career and technology and or college and career readiness. So what does that look like? And then from there, we can actually even dissect some of the data that's coming in, analyze it, and then segment different communications based on what we see those families connecting with. So we can be as creative as we want to be. I've actually seen them done for bilingual and dual language as well, dual language programs. But my absolute favorite is the top 50 books that every kindergarten needs to have in their home library. And it was a checklist that the librarians put together, and we made sure that all new parents had access to it. And so it was a really great way for them to find the right books for their kindergartner before school even started. So we're trying to build rapport and bring value.
Right. And I'm imagining, Lisa, that some people that sign up for this may not even be a candidate for your school, but with some of the information that you can pull in, you can weed those folks out or making sure that you're not following up with everybody in the same way. Is that right, Lisa?
That's correct. So, there are ways when you provide the form for them to download that you could provide fields like, what school district do you live in? And they can fill that out. Or what's your neighborhood school, right? And then you would have that information. The idea here is that the next step after this might be just as simple as you have a monthly or twice a month newsletter that goes out to everyone. So those who are wanting to stay engaged will engage, and you'll be able to analyze that data, and the others will start to fall off. But that's a great question.
Yeah, because they can always opt out of those
Absolutely.
emails.
Absolutely.
So Lisa, I am listening to this and I'm like, okay, I've been hearing this for a while. I totally get the 5 tips or 5 workouts that I can do in 5 minutes or less, because as a school communicator or educator listening, that's all you have is 5 minutes. So I get how, okay, we could use that. What would you say is the very first step or the first couple steps, or the first couple tools that somebody listening would need in order to set that up? Can you kind of break that down, Lisa?
Sure. So I think to start would be, what are your goals? What are some goals that you have? Is it an enrollment goal? Is it a recruitment goal? Is it a perception goal? So you identify that goal that's for your 25-26 school year. And you can just have one. And you say, that's what we're going to focus on this whole year is perception. Let's not do recruitment or enrollment. Let's do perception. Okay. We want to showcase our schools and really promote how amazing they are. That's step 1. You have that goal. Step 2 is the fun part, which is brainstorming. And I'm going to go ahead and suggest that you can utilize AI tools to help help speed up the process and spark that imagination, use your chat GPT, put it in there and prompt it and say, provide a list of 50 questions to ask about school perception, or what are 50 ideas to promote my schools, and start to get the brain going that way so that you can whittle down what the lead magnet will look like. And that's how I always start. I start with brainstorming. And then from there, the third step is drop it into a Google Doc, get it finalized for yourself so you have your content. And it's as simple as a lead magnet can be so simple, Andrea. All you have to do is go into your friendly Canva platform.
Yep.
Get your branding colors on there. Get your logo on there. I'm going to use Veronica real quick because I really want to jump back over to that example you gave with the librarians, the 50 books. Oh my gosh, that is so meaty. So let's use that one. Let's say you're doing the 50 books. Well, at the bottom of that lead magnet, not only do you have your school district logo, it's all in your brand colors, but you have a little blurb about the awesome librarians who put this thing together, right? And boom, there's your lead magnet and you're done.
Awesome. You want to expand at all on that, Veronica? Because you kind of shared at the beginning, like this was kind of brand new to you. So you must have had maybe your first kind of step into it. Any advice you can have, you can share for people that are just getting into it?
Yeah, the biggest lesson I learned is identifying first if this is valuable or not, because we can all come up with lists, but the real key to a successful lead magnet is that it brings value. And the reason why that's important, it's so critical, is because we're trying to earn trust. As we build rapport with people, we're building trust. So if we tell them it's great and then it's not great, we are eroding the trust. So we constantly have to look at the quality. I was listening to some marketing experts recently, and they said you want to put your best foot forward first. Your best content should be delivered first, not last. So a traditional sales strategy might be give them a little taste of this, talk to them a little bit, bring them in, and then slowly but surely work them up. Well, the new and the more successful and proven successful methodology is to give them your best content first so that trust is established, and then you reverse engineer and work backwards. So I would say those were some of my biggest learnings at the beginning.
Yeah. And certainly from my business model, I
Mhm.
started out back in 2014, didn't know anything, but everybody just said like give away your best stuff, right? And this podcast is free. My biweekly newsletter is free, and blog articles and all of that. And some are just like, oh, maybe you shouldn't give away all that stuff for free, but it's like, well, it builds that trust. And then it does grow, and certainly all schools listening, public, private, charter, independent, homeschool, like we're all competing. And
Yeah.
so it's really important for us to be able to think about this. Where, Lisa, do you share some of these like lead magnets where, because now you got it developed and maybe you've put in a little form so they can enter their email. Where do you put it? And then exactly how are the intricacies of how does it work? Can you break that down for me?
Sure. So let's talk about a real simple way to do it. Let's say right now, just continuing to build the relationship with those who are already engaged with you. You can provide lead magnets even to those who are already subscribers. Okay. So I would provide that link in your newsletters that go out to your families and community, right? So you can put it there. One of the best places is to do it on social media. You can either provide it as a post or you can do an actual ad. I'm going to share a success that I had with a school district, a very small one here in Texas. They had an enrollment goal. And what we did was we created a lead magnet that gave them a quick overview of how to register your child. So they were able to download, okay, this quick overview of how I register my child. They gathered the emails and we put this all out on Facebook and Instagram. It was primarily on Facebook. We put maybe, I'm going to say just a couple of $100 on that ad for maybe 2 months. Not much money. We put it out. We targeted the zip codes on Facebook. And what we got was, and we used the lead magnet form on Facebook. What we were able to get was close to 50 families who downloaded that, who wanted to know, how do I go through the process? So then that district then had those in a spreadsheet, and just a spreadsheet. That was it. It was not a big platform. It was not complicated. It all went into a spreadsheet, and they were able to get those names and reach out to each of those families and help them go through the next step.
So that could basically be just like a Google form.
It could be a Google form. It could be, let me just share this too. The main thing is that you're providing that information, and then you want to make sure you're providing a lead magnet, and then you want to make sure you're getting their information, right?
Yep.
So you could just have it attached to a Google form, and then it goes out. It does not have to be complicated. And also too, if you happen to use social media like a Meta or Facebook ad, on their platform, you can actually create a lead form on there. So they do all the work. They capture your name, they capture your information, and then you just export it. So all you're doing is uploading the lead magnet, and then you use that form.
Okay. Now, when you guys are out there working with schools, you really like to teach the importance of landing pages. So, Veronica, can you tell me what a landing page is and what do schools need to keep in mind when building that?
Yeah, I would say the first thing you have to keep in mind is that people hate clicking more than once.
Yep.
So if you're going to provide a QR code or a link or something to somebody in any capacity, whether it's signage, maybe you've got yard signs out in front of some of your schools and you've got QR codes, it needs to link directly to the landing page, not your ISD or USD.org or .edu that then they have to go find. It's got to link directly to the landing page. So the landing page stands as, it literally acts as a standalone page with as much information as possible. Think about almost like those leave behind cards that we get from sales folks. Here's my leave behind card. It could be a little poster size or a little postcard size, whatever, but it's got the highlights of what they're wanting to share with you, contact information, and then a place to collect information. So usually, your name, email address, and those kinds of things. A standalone landing page is going to be visual, it's going to be appealing, and it's not going to require any more clicks. So I would say that's the most important thing that you need to have for a landing page, because people hate to click more than once. It's just really distracting. And again, it's eroding trust.
Yeah. Lisa, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I do on the landing page, exactly backing up what Veronica says about building that trust and the clicking. So the actual structure of a landing page, which we have in the freebies that we'll provide for you all.
Yay!
Yeah. So think of it this way. Okay. When you land on a landing page, it gives you everything that you need to know about that topic. So for example, let's use enrollment again. So you might hit that landing page and it will say, register your child here. And there's a big, bold, beautiful photo. And then there's a button, your call to action that goes directly to your registration page, your actual page on your website. But on your landing page, if you kept scrolling, it's kind of like walking through all the whys, all the reasons why you need to register your child here. So your next section might say, here's why we welcome all children into our schools, or here's a little bit about our school. And then you have an intro. Then you go down a little bit more. Then it might say something like, you're going to educate them about the benefits of the school. Here's all the things that your child will learn here. Then you scroll down a little bit more and there's a map. Here's where our school is located. And at some point along the way, you continue to put that button to register, because that's your goal of the landing page. The landing page is getting them to do something. So it acts as like just the biggest cheerleader you could possibly have about that topic. And that user is going to continue to scroll and scroll. One of the bigger pieces of a landing page that is always successful, and I think we all utilize this as consumers, it's your opportunity to provide testimonials.
Mhm.
So you might have a testimonial from a teacher about the reason why I love to teach at this school. And then you might have 3 testimonials from parents. I love sending my child here, or my child just graduated here, and oh my gosh, it was amazing, right? And so you have all those pieces on that landing page.
Okay. So what I hear you saying, and I've seen this and I've experienced this myself. I'm on Facebook and somebody says, "Hey, you can grab this list." And I click on a link, and if it only had just a spot to put my email, I might, by the time I click that link, I might rethink it and be like, "Ooh, do I really want to give my email address for this?"
Right.
So what you're saying is there's kind of a science behind what you should have once they click that link. You're not making them take another step. You're just kind of putting some of those reasons, some of those testimonials, basically reaffirming me that yes, you do want to put your email in, or yes, you do want to register your child. But it's not that complicated. It's not overly salesy. You're just trying to give them all the information they need to take that action. Is that right?
Yes. And so just a quick note. So let's say you're doing this on social media. The link that they click on can take them to your landing page,
Right.
Mhm.
right? So you're going straight to the landing page, and then suddenly you're in this world and you're reading all about all the great things about this whole topic that got your attention. And like Veronica said, that process, scientifically, you're building trust. You're telling them all the reasons why, right?
Mhm.
And you're answering questions for them before they even speak it.
Right.
So that's another preparation point in building your landing page. And again, we have a template there for you.
Yeah. And if I can add to that too, Andrea, it's so important at the very beginning. You asked, what do people need to be thinking at the beginning? One of the considerations is what is our target audience? What are their biggest pain points? And then how do I solve that with this lead magnet? So if the idea of enrolling my student is just seems so overly complicated, say this is your pain point, and this is how we're going to help you solve it. Or if you're overwhelmed with not sure what type of books you have, going back to that, kindergartner home library list, not sure what kind of books your 4-year-old needs to be reading right now, identify their pain points and then help solve them. And again, it's almost like a conversation, so that you are building rapport. Because the other thing we know is that research tells us if your district has a genuine brand that is consistent, they will be more likely to trust you, and they'll be more likely to continue to engage with you. So as you think about lead magnets, it's literally just as important as your social media. It's just as important as your collateral. It's just as important as all the other things you're putting out there. They have to dovetail together to complement the work that the district's trying to do with its brand.
Yeah. And you have a lot of experts within your school district. You guys talked about the 50 library books coming from your librarians, building them up basically as thought leaders, right? And you have a ton of thought leaders within your organization. Don't think you need some like special anointment to say, "Oh, I'm worthy of doing a free download." Now, I want to speak to one thing, and I don't care. One of you can respond to this. I think I'm going to create a booklet, a 15-page booklet that's going to help, or a one-page download. What would you tell me is going to be more effective as a lead magnet? Lisa?
Okay, I would say go ahead and do the one page. Okay, do the one page. But let's separate this out one more time. So you can have your lead magnet that is the one page overview, and then also make your landing page. And the landing page has all of the information on there and visuals and all beautiful. You can also provide the lead magnet one pager on your landing page. Hey, download this one page guide for, whatever the topic is. So you have these 2 different pieces. When you start to talk about books and booklets, it goes back to, okay, let's think about your audience. Do they have the time to read your 15-page booklet? And I'll let Veronica speak to this one, that may be a great solution for administration, right?
Uh-huh.
Veronica, she's the expert in that space.
Yeah, I would say they each have their own purpose and they're completely different. So if I've got a lead magnet, like Lisa said, it's one pager, I give you what you need, you're still interested, I'm going to be reaching out to you with follow-up email saying, and now the district is going to have a community town hall where we're going to really dive into this topic. So let's think about mental health. To your point, Andrea, we've got mental health experts in our schools that do this work every day. And we provide the top 25 things to be thinking about if you're concerned about your child's mental health. Have your mental health experts write that out. That becomes your one-page lead magnet. And then follow up and invite them to the mental health symposium that the district is hosting, where you do work them through that workbook at an event that is in person and that it's designed to do that kind of thing. So those building blocks can really feed each other. So I think there's a purpose for both, but in a traditional way of thinking, we like one click and we like summaries.
Yeah.
So that should be your first go-to. There's a place for that at the next phase.
Yeah. What I hear you guys saying is you're starting to build that relationship, but it's not just following on social media or seeing something. You're actually able to track and get those leads if you have those emails, because that is the beginning of a relationship that may go all the way to them applying for a job or
Mhm.
enrolling their child,
Right?
or they'll drop off. But just think if you had 10%, 20% more inquiries for any of these things that you're working on, we would all be jumping for joy.
Yeah.
And this is an easy way to do it that I think we get overwhelmed. And there's some of you, I always say, like, if you're breathing into a paper bag right now, because you're so stressed. I think Veronica and Lisa have both broken this down very, in a simple way, but they also have those takeaways that you can look at. But you guys both work with schools if they want to implement this too. And I'm imagining that once you go through this once or twice with your help, then it clicks and it's like, okay, I can do this on my own. So it's not like you have to hire them forever to work with you, but you
Right.
guys do go in and kind of help them with that, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. In fact, that's our goal. Our
Yeah.
goal is to provide plug and play content that's template based, where you don't need to hire us to do it. You just have access to all of our best learnings, best practices, and because we've joined efforts, our shared combined work product that we had. And I want to go back to something you just said, relationships. Think about it like dating. On the first date, you don't tell everybody your entire life story and all the trauma of all the other relationships you had. You don't do that on the first date. You give them a little bit, high quality. I'm looking my best. I'm on my best behavior. I used all the right table manners. And then the next date, you tell them a little bit more. And then the next date, you tell them a little bit more. And so we have to think about it in that regard. So I think when you have templates and you have access to what other people have done, you can get there so much faster.
Yeah. Lisa, you talked a little bit about 50 families doing that targeted zip code and like how to register. They were obviously very interested because they were looking at a lead magnet that had direct ties to their school district and how to register. Do you have some other success stories that where schools have implemented this for a variety of different goals that they had in mind? We don't need exact numbers maybe, but maybe you have some of those success stories.
I do have, I want to switch over to the landing page side of this.
Yep.
I worked with two very large school districts where they were with two different vendors. They underwent a redesign of their website, two different vendors on each of them. And like many of school districts, there's just so much information you put on your website. The issue is that when they would promote something like registration or recruitment, that was one of the district's big goals was recruitment. You just got lost. You couldn't find where you needed to go. So what I did with both of those districts, we built a landing page for enrollment and a landing page for recruitment and a landing page that was all just about the district, just a general one. And we went through the process of really making sure that we highlighted all the best possible things. We got all the testimonials. We did some facts and data on there. We had the map. We had all of that on each of those pages. And then those 3 pages were at the top of their website as the quick links. Those 3 pages also had their own QR codes. So when they went to their events, when they were recruiting, when they were doing their pre-K registration, they would use those QR codes. They were able to analyze in Google Analytics the traffic that was hitting those pages, and it dramatically increased, dramatically, because they were serving their community, giving them exactly what they needed. They didn't have to click and try to figure out where to go on the website. They went straight to their landing pages. So
Okay,
that's a really powerful tool.
I got to correct myself then. Okay, so when I think of a landing page, I was thinking of that lead magnet going to a landing page, but you're even saying more than that. A landing page is about something specific that may be a goal. And then in that recruitment for staff, there's all this information and whatever. But then there may be within that landing page that link to that lead magnet, because then again, you capture that email. But am I right with that, Lisa?
You got it. That's
Okay.
exactly it. So your lead magnet can be, just think of it as this little tool that you can push out on social media. You could make it as a download on your landing page. You could do it as a promotional button on your newsletter. That little piece can go everywhere. When you put it on your landing page, you're reinforcing that user's experience. So let's say your landing page had everything about registration, and you could then say, hey, download this quick reference guide about how to enroll your child so you can quickly go through the steps. Boom. They hit download, they give you their email address, and then they're off to the races, right?
And
They've totally experienced you on the landing page and the tool.
And, sometimes you're just like, oh, we always think we don't want to be too salesy. So it's like, but really it's that help me help you, right? So
Yes.
when we ask for that email, we're making sure that we're going to be able to follow up and give them all the answers and the support that they need now that they took the time to enter it. And if they don't want to, they won't. So
Right.
don't stress yourself out about that. Oh, I love this. Okay, Veronica, any like specific success story that you had when you were working in a district or now the work that you do with schools? Could you give us another success story? My listeners love that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was working with a district who has an incentive program, and depending on your state, it may look a little bit different, but there was different designations. And so this particular district was really trying to target teachers with that master certification. And so what we did is we built a landing page and a lead magnet just for those master teachers. And we did an open records request of different districts that were near. I won't say which ones or even which state we were doing it because that may be a little touchy. But look, here's the thing. We're all competing, and you said it earlier, we're all competing for the same pool of talent and the same pool of students. So it's okay to sell. Let's shift our mindset and talk about why it's okay to sell. Because being salesy can be classy and it can be helpful and it can be valuable. So we created a lead magnet for those master teachers. We created a landing page for them. We directly targeted at a micro level to their actual devices based on data we had pulled. And we had phenomenal success. So by the time the hiring season was over, I would say at the end of April, we already had every open master position filled, and we could track where they were coming from. And they were coming from our landing page and our lead magnet.
Wow. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Um, so if our listeners are overwhelmed, kind of how can you help further, or what's the best way to maybe reach out? Do you guys have an organization together, or you just partner on some of, I heard you say you've got an Elevate marketing system. Do you guys want to share just a little bit more about that system?
Yeah, go ahead, Lisa. Fill them in.
Okay, I'll fill them in. So yes, so Veronica and I, we've known each other for a while here. And when we got together and started talking about how, literally our thing was, how can we make it easier? How can we make everything easier? Because it does feel overwhelming to do marketing. Like, it's just like, where do I start? And how do that sounds great. Lead magnets, all this stuff, blah, blah, and then you're worn out, right? Okay, that's just how the feeling. So that's where she and I started. And we decided, you know what, let's create a system where we bring you into our system. We support you the entire way. We provide what we call plug and play. So you basically will access whatever tool it is, and you're just going to put your information in there. It's almost like, back in the day, you play those games where you
Mad
fill in the
Libs.
blank. Yeah, yeah, Mad Libs. It's like that. And we really tried to make it as simple and as quick as possible, even down to Canva templates. Like,
Yeah.
here's the template. You just fill in your colors. We just want to make it easy. So you just come to us and we're here for you. And that's basically the way that we look at it. And for the two of us, what we've seen time and time again is that once that support is around you and you have the tools, Veronica and I are not massive corporations. We're not huge companies. We are tiny, one person with few contractors. That's how we operate. But we know how to use all these different tools effectively so that it seems like there's a whole massive team behind us. So we are with you because we understand you.
Yep.
Awesome.
Definitely.
Anything you want to add to that, Veronica?
I would just say all of the links for information are will be in the show notes. And yeah, and aside from all of that, we're constantly updating the content as we learn and we find additional best practices. So joining the system, getting access to the system, using it is not just a one-time thing. We are making it very robust. And this is everything we wished we had when we were really in the trenches a few years ago. So that was our goal. And the feedback has been phenomenal. And you can see testimonials and all that kind of good stuff on all of our materials too.
Okay, so we got that waiting in the show notes. I told you guys we were going to be able to talk forever because I still have a lot of other questions. I'm sure, Veronica and Lisa, could you just see my wheels turning while I was?
I loved
Yes,
it.
I
Yeah,
totally.
and
I was here for it.
all my listeners were the same way. So just to head back just a little bit to social media, I like to end every episode with just your best social media tip. So for our listeners, and it could relate to lead magnets or marketing, it doesn't have to. What would you say is your best social media tip? Who wants to go first?
Veronica, you go first.
Yeah, I'll go
Okay.
first. I would say my best social media tip is to not be afraid to be authentic and show all sides of your district. Show your superintendent being fun, doing jump rope with the students. Show the follies. People love that authentic capturing is relatable. So don't be afraid about your social media being super polished. No one goes for that anymore. And it's not real.
Right, exactly. How about you, Lisa? What would be your best tip?
So mine is state the obvious.
Oh,
So
good.
we think that everyone knows the benefits of athletics. We think that everyone knows what STEM means. We think that everyone knows what a CTE program is. No, they don't. So state the obvious. So say, you could be a fun did you know, and then surround it with photos from your students. Did you know athletics builds teamwork and discipline in students? And then spotlight all of your athletic programs. Did you know CTE means career and technical education? Right? I mean, it's powerful because sometimes it's just those little details that
Yeah.
are missing. And also, too, by the way, that really fills up your editorial calendar. So you can really put out a lot of content of just stating the obvious.
Oh, those are both amazing tips. I learned so much today. I know my listeners did, and they probably want to be connected. We're going to get your contact information in the show notes, but maybe you want to share just verbally if somebody's listening on the road and they want to jot this down. Veronica, what's the best way to stay connected to you?
Find me on LinkedIn, Veronica V. Sopher.
Okay, we're at LinkedIn. And then how about you, Lisa?
Same thing. LinkedIn is going to be the best way. I believe I'm Lisa Losasso. So and there's not many of us. I think there's one other one in Chicago somewhere. But
Okay.
Lisa Losasso, and you'll see Lisa Losasso Jackson. You'll see me there.
Okay. So, and then, like I said, we're gonna link it up, ladies. This was so fun. We're
So
gonna have
good.
to we're gonna have to do it again. We'll probably have to transfer this podcast episode just into a blog because I think my listeners would really love to be able to just see it laid out too. So guys, just stay tuned. That'll be coming up as well. But I just want to say you can do it. Like, And now's the time. It's still the summer months. I know we're in the busy time of getting ready for the new school year. But if you're like most schools, there is competition for staff, for students, even the retention. I liked how you guys even brought up, sometimes it's just engaging the people that are already in your school district and making sure that you can engage with them. And we're not talking about having to invest thousands and thousands of dollars into automation and all of these tools. There are some things out there, but they're cheaper than you might think. And there are easy ways to dip your toe in and to measure the results, which is what I love. And I am sure if you had even some simple questions, as you could see, Lisa and Veronica were very patient with all my questions, so they'll be patient with yours as well. I hope that you'll take the time to reach out to them. They've helped mentor me over the years because I started knowing nothing about this whole world, and I've certainly appreciated getting to know you both. So thanks so much for hanging out today.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
you,
Thanks for the
Andrea.
invitation.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that's a wrap for this episode. We'll be back next week with another fabulous episode. And until then, you guys keep telling those authentic stories and don't forget to state the obvious. Bye-bye.
Bye.